everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka...
You were just making it look like you were playing. You're a phony! Hey, this guy's a great big
And we are back with another thread. I'm filming the first 30 seconds of this one because the audio from the Twitch VOD got muted after I played a whole bunch of copyrighted music.
You're a big fat phony!
Today I want to talk about forgiveness. For those of you that have been watching Master Saga, you've probably seen me describe a ton of strategies as forgiving. What I mean when I say that is you can screw up pretty large parts of the combo, play like a total monkey, and still walk with the game. Think Kashtira, for instance. But today I want to ask about decks that aren't forgiving. Decks that if you screw up one step in a 55 million step combo will cause you to lose not only the game, but the match, your mortgage, and your wife. And I'm beginning with Megalith. Megalith is so sequence specific. Despite what you saw in that Saga season, this deck really screws you up very easily, especially when you have to weave in a bunch of cards we didn't have in Saga into the combo. Let's see what you all came up with. But first, this video is sponsored by Raycon. Thanks to my insatiable desire to procreate, I've been spending a lot of time these past couple of months sitting on a couch holding a big ball of consequences. But enough about the Genesis deck I never play. I need an audio product that works with my daughter. See, I've got a newborn and I want to be able to listen to music while I cuddle her. But even earbuds play some audio that could hurt her ears and clog up my ears, so I'm less attentive than I'd like to be. Thankfully, today's sponsor, Raycon, has a new product that solves all my issues. Raycon's new bone conduction headphones sit outside your ear and send audio vibration through your bones, letting you stay aware while listening to whatever you like. They're perfect for if you're concerned about your ear health, if you've got hearing aids, or if you want to remain on call while listening to Will of the Council. They've got a 13-hour battery life, are waterproof and dustproof, and this new year are available at a reduced price. I've been loving them, and you can too, with 20% off site-wide if you go to buyraycon.com/MBTBC. That's buyraycon.com/MBTBC. Thanks to Raycon for sponsoring the video. Now back to it. Yeah, I think I would probably say this is true. RJ says, my funny toony boys' new tricks are too hard for this old dog to learn. Gone are the days when all roads lead to Quasar. The zone math and Synchron lines is enough to turn my brain into a fine goose. So it's not difficult to summon Junk Speeder and then summon 5 monsters from deck. That's not very hard. It's actually pretty easy to just click yes in Edo Pro. The hard part is what you do next. And a lot of the times, what you do next requires you to keep track of not only which garnets you have drawn, because the deck is like majority garnet at this point, but also where they're going. This is a deck where you can really easily put the wrong guy into your graveyard at the wrong time and end up with tokens on your board that you have no way to get rid of because the extra deck's so tight you don't just have generic synchros to clear space. And as a result, I think RJ's probably right here. Skyhawk probably has the right answer. Fluffal is the least forgiving deck I've ever played. And that sounds ridiculous if you're familiar with Fluffal as an OTK strategy. But if you've played combo Fluffal at all, you know that there are probably a couple of formats where this is a tier 1 meta threat in the last 5 years, with the only problem being that playing this over a 9-round tournament perfectly is legitimately impossible. You moron, you absolute buffoon. You used Illusion of Chaos to add Magician Souls and put Penguin on top of the deck so you could discard the Illusion of Chaos for Toy Vendor and put the Penguin you stack, but you put the Illusion of Chaos back on top of the deck out of habit! Yeah. Chloe has a good one. It is not as bad now, since the deck is a lot less reliant on Dance Peony level manipulation, but for early Plant Link, you kind of had to memorize a ton of zone placements in your combos. One misplaced monster at the wrong point lost you 2+ interactions in a combo deck with almost no recursion. The frustrating part also is that it would change based on if you were going first and second, because if you can only occupy one of the 2 link zones, you are given fewer options by which to put your plants in certain zones. This is a deck that's made difficult for a number of reasons because of the tight extra. Frequently, your extra is like 12 combo pieces and then 3 flexible guys. So if you fuck up on the way to one of the combo pieces, I mean, it's not like the combo pieces do the same thing as each other. Plant slop? Yuck. This is probably the right answer. Half Miss has a great one here. One of the reasons I got so attached to Memento for so long is while you can certainly learn the baseline combo, the skill ceiling for this deck is absurd. I'll never forget playing through 4-hand traps with it at regionals and losing because I still misplayed after all of that into an avoidable nib. The other thing about the Memento lines is that they change pretty drastically based on your opener, which garnets you've found, what your end goal is, and what your opponent has done. I mean, I have activated the level 5 one like 1 step too early and lost the game because of it like a dozen times. Adam unfortunately has the truth of the matter, which is despite all of that, damn is this deck Satisfying. Kai says, if you miss one time with your draws, a judge walks up and executes you with a revolver. So I want to push back a little bit on Flower Cardian. While it is an unforgiving deck and you have to sequence properly, who's going to know? If you just go, I activate Cherry Blossom, and then you summon 3 guys off the top of your deck, what is your opponent going to say you're cheating? They're not reading that shit. Obviously, I would never recommend you do this in tournament play. Okay, yeah. Obviously, this is probably the correct answer. Spreadsheet deck, etc. Check spreadsheet. Wait, Lamia went too soon. Okay, game 2. Back in the day, sending like the gate off of Lamia too early would lose you the game, but correctly, this is still true now that we don't play Lamia. Oh, I forgot to remove a card from my scale, and now Gilgamesh doesn't resolve, so I can't pen summon your turn. Or, oh, I forgot to summon Tell over Solomon, so no Necro access, which means I'm passing on 1 disruption, I guess. New DDD is still a combo fest. It is, I guess I would say, more forgiving than it was, but it still requires you to sequence 100% perfectly 100% of the time through points of interaction, which is very difficult. So the new cards open up a lot of more possibilities as to what you can do win and what end boards you can produce. You still have to be confident when you are playing, or else you are going to end up on a headhunt in a dream. Vaylantz? Listen, I'm just gonna have to take your word for it. A monster in the wrong zone, forgetting to use your out-of-archetype engine pre-lock, or ordering your guys incorrectly in a non-linear combo is a speedrun to Avermax Pass. I guess. I don't think I've seen the Vaylantz combo do anything ever. Every time I've seen Vaylantz do anything resembling plays, they're used to just get to a dumb, stupid auto-win floodgate, like Cyberstein or Fossil Dynapachycephalo. I mean, as far as combos exist, I suppose it could be pretty unforgiving. I've never even seen this guy. Arctos 12 Chronochasm Vaylantz? Did you make him up? Last one, but watching you pilot this deck on Jank was one of the coolest things I've ever seen in this game. You give the viewers context, I'm not even gonna fucking try. Okay. Ugh, this is a right one. There is an argument that during the format in which Laval Chain was at 3, the best deck was secretly this one, Blue-Blooded Oni. The problem is that this deck, Blue-Blooded Oni FTK, was probably the hardest deck in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! To pilot. This is the Blue-Blooded Oni deck that did well at an Australian event that we played in History of Yu-Gi-Oh! And let me just show you the combo. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's a lot, but it's not, undoable. Well, let me complicate this a little bit. So it's not 26 steps. It's a 26-step loop that at the end of the duel you repeat like 7 or 8 times. Part 6. 1A, activate instant fusion. 1B, overlay your Blue-Blooded Oni. 8 steps in 6 parts brings our grand total to 90 steps. This is quite an interesting loop to watch happen. Able to memorize it all? Most people can't seem to figure this one out on their own. If you watch this video, we didn't get called out on it very much because, who knows? But I think there are a ton of positions in which I did something that's probably illegal. It's just like, how could you tell? I still don't get how this FTKs. There were 2 ways. The first was you would loop Evil Swarm Ouroboros to send your opponent's hand to the graveyard, then banish the entire hand from the graveyard, leave them on 1 card and set up a negate. And then the second way it would FTK is just drawing your whole deck and then making Tempest Magician. A single misplay in Lunalight is the difference between having 2 Ligers on field or a board that does literally nothing. Yeah, so I guess I would say I think this deck is forgiving insofar as getting to 1 Liger isn't that big of a deal. I do agree that it is punishing insofar as it's not like you can fall back to an Apollosa. There's not like a line where you go, oh, I messed up, I guess I'll just go to, my B plan of a couple negates. The end board, if you fuck up, is quite literally nothing. It's just like a bunch of guys that do not have effects on your side of the field. All you have to do is activate Heavy Poly. Okay, or you're playing Heavy Poly, I love my Ignisters, but if you want the Arrival Cybers on your field turn 1, you need to know exactly what order you need to do things with whatever hand you opened, and if you put Dark Infant in the wrong main monster zone or forget to trigger its effect, you are fucked. Very true. The Arrival Cybers Ignister is one of the end board pieces of Ignister, and Ignister is one of the least forgiving decks in the history of time. It's really frustrating because when you see a good player pilot Ignister, you go, oh, this deck is capable of a lot, and when you see a mediocre player pilot it, you're like, they are following a combo guide that is posted somewhere online. Mannadium, you can at any point add the wrong card and your turn is functionally over. This is correct, and I do like someone has chimed in with the really funny part of this deck, which is if your Vsauce is on the field at the same time as the wrong field spell, its stat line will change, fucking up its effect. Cool. Awesome. Oh, finally we get this one. This is absolutely correct. If you mess up on the way to Magnus, you still end on a few strong interactions, but there's a huge difference between that and a 6-map Magnus that insta-wins. Okay, yeah, the difference is winning and losing. Quants is a totally unforgiving deck, especially if you're going for Magnus, because the field spell, in order for the Magnus to be effective, kind of requires you to play as optimally as possible to keep guys underneath it. This is a really irritating deck to play. I do appreciate that Black Layer and Zayton have really simplified a lot of the lines, but still, it is a hassle. No joke, 37 minutes.
Because I have a Mind Box in here, it's screening me for reactive dealings because I would just send back an Alchemy here. I can discard the Alchemy and send it back to add Mind Box to my hand.
Okay, obviously this comes up all the time, but I do want to talk about it again. This was a top deck during its period that no one was playing. It had the capacity to take a 40-minute first turn. It could mill you out one individual card at a time while also insulating against the hand traps you were sure to draw as it milled you. This deck was baller as all hell, but was very difficult to play. Wasn't this deck also like barely non-deterministic, so you just get fucked sometimes? At the very bitter end, it is possible to fuck up if your opponent draws like runner Veilers or something. But it is really difficult to lose from the position of totally controlling the game. But for that reason, it incentivized the opponent to stay in what was a lost game for 40 minutes, causing you to win 1-0. Shouts out to this person, TryNet123, who still streams. I'm subbed to them on Twitch because they play a lot of Bazaar. Yeah. Oh man, this actually is true. Post-banless Mermail, there's so many opportunities for people to completely fuck up their lines. Coal board space, opening Coelacanth, mandatory effects of Neptibus if you mill it, Griefus hand counting, managing 5 in graveyard for Mulan Glacia while also getting the Minstrel Rip to stay nib safe. This one is absolutely miserable. And importantly, the skills you have to manage do not overlap. It's like you have to be cognizant of the cards in graveyard at the same time as you're remembering your zone math for Coelacanth. And the end board, they are correct, is both weak and requires things to happen in a certain sequence, which means you have to resolve it perfectly, really, to get anything out of it. It's a far cry from Mermail just a few months earlier, but now, yeah, this is definitely the case. People messed it up at Worlds! World Champion players! It's interesting because pre-Shark Ban, this deck was like top 7 in terms of rep. Now we just get here and there's tops once a month by someone that's really fucking good. You know, sometimes they open the Undersea Atlantic Hyperbolic Time Chamber and someone's like, okay, I know how to summon Neptibus now, but often it's just nothing. Today I have given you all a very precious gift. If your deck appeared in this video, you can show an opponent this video after you misplay and say, see, it wasn't my fault. If it's not in this list, sorry, you're just bad. See you next time. If I forget to control a monster that mentions it one more time, if you forget to control a monster that mentions it, you can't activate this card. What do you mean? There's actually a really easy way to get a monster that mentions Shining Sark. If you've got a Shining Sark, it's to activate Shining Sark. I think maybe Yu-Gi-Oh is just not for some.